This conference will now be
nation,
recorded.
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I second the motion.
The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the notice having been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster and filed in the office of the Township Clerk on July 19th, 2019. We have board policy, which states that no new cases will be started after 10:30 p.m. and no new testimony taken after 11 p.m. We have minutes for approval of March 2nd, 2020. Would somebody please make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Yeah, there we go. Did you get this?
Right, who made the motion, who seconded it?
Steve Levy seconded. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dr. DeBenedetto,
Yes.
Mr. DeFilia,
Yes.
Mr. Duffy,
Yes.
Dr. Fisher,
Yes.
Luce?
You say me?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Levy,
Yes.
Mr. Siano,
Yes.
and Mr. Weinstein.
Yes.
Thank you. Gentlemen, next we have resolution memorializations. The first one would be Ernesto Soares, block 26.04, lot 28, 10 Abbas Place, Ocean, New Jersey. It was a minor subdivision approval and bulk variance approval. Somebody please make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Dr. DeBenedetto,
Yes.
Mr. DeFilia,
Yes.
Mr. Duffy,
Yes.
Dr. Fisher,
Yes.
Luce,
Yes.
Mr. Levy,
Yes.
Mr. Siano,
Yes.
and Mr. Weinstein.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, I'd like to make the following announcement. Cases carried to June 22nd, 2020. Number one.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, don't we have another resolution?
I do not see one.
Okay, 1111 Highway 35.
Yep.
Oh, 1111 Highway 35. 1111 Highway 35 LLC, block 209, lots 8, 1111 Highway 35 Ocean, minor site plan approval, bulk variance approval. Give a roll call? Would somebody please make a motion?
I'll
I'll second. Roll call.
Dr. DeBenedetto,
Yes.
Mr. DeFilia,
Yes.
Mr. Duffy,
Yes.
Dr. Fisher,
Yes.
Luce,
Yes.
Mr. Levy, Mr. Siano,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we will go to the cases carried June 22nd, 2020. Number one, Logan Community LLC, block 137, lot 4, 5, and 32, 1109 Logan Road, Ocean, C3. Second case that will be carried to June 22nd of 2020 is Romano, block 33.14, lot 2, 710 West Park Avenue, Oakhurst, E1. And the final case to be carried to June 22nd, 2020 would be Giovanni Arpino, block 9, lots 611 and 711, 65 Larchwood and 47 Larchwood in Ocean. That's in Zone R.
Mr. Kirk, do you know if those applicants have notified the public that it's going to be a virtual meeting?
Yes, we had difficulty with that. That's why we're having all these meetings going through September, primarily, the virtuals, because of, the virtual problems that we're going to have and the notification for people to be able to object to the application virtually.
Have any of these applicants who the chair just mentioned already notified the public that these meetings, their hearings will be virtual on June 22nd?
Any of those that have not are required to renotice for the virtual portion.
Okay.
A complete re-notification is what we discussed, so that's where we're going.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any concerns they'd like to discuss besides what was just said? Other than somebody making a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to thank all of you for, taking the time like this. If every meeting can go like this, we'd be much more enjoyable, I can tell you that.
I have something I would like to say. Were we talking about doing some type of workshop or something in regards to procedures for our planning board? And is this a good opportunity, because it doesn't sound like we're going to do much in these virtual meetings to start getting into this stuff?
I've spoken to the gentleman who's going to give it, and he's working on doing the exact same thing we're doing here, only with the zoning board, but it hasn't been a high priority, to be honest with you.
So do we need someone to talk to? Can we just talk amongst ourselves to have our own plan?
I think we need to have someone give a tutorial. I really do. It's just that imagine working the way we've been working lately. It hasn't been on the top of the list.
Okay.
I would say, in fact, to the doctor's point, I mean, do we have existing documentation that somebody can share with the board as it relates to procedures as it stands now? So when we do get the expert or consultant or whoever prepared, that, we're prepared to ask questions?
Well, when you were first appointed, you received that white book, the manual.
Yes.
That's what we have for, and you're supposed to go to the seminar. That's it for all planning and zoning board members. So, beyond that, that's why I want to bring the gentleman in order to expand upon that.
Okay.
Is that white book on? Can we receive a digital copy?
I don't know if they sell them digitally, if they're that advanced from the state, but I'll find out.
Okay.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Other than the fact that I see a lot of screens that don't seem like their cameras are working. I don't see Ron and I don't see Amy.
We don't have cameras.
Oh. Okay.
I have like a couple extra laptops I can run over to you guys for the virtual meetings,
Mr. Levy, you're behind part of my instructional screen, so I cannot see you. But I see your name.
I see you very well.
I can't see you.
I don't see
On the right side of the screen.
I don't Estelle, Isaac, or Tom.
Do you see me or no?
No, I
Yeah,
can't
we
see you,
hear
Estelle.
Can't
Can't
see
see
you.
you as well now.
I just saw your.
Maybe your camera's off?
So Sandy, I was going to ask you one question. So doing these virtual meetings, and let's pretend we do something that has some crowd participation or community participation. Is there some kind of procedure you want to have with people bringing, asking questions via email beforehand, or do you have some ideas on how you want to do that so it runs? When we were doing our board of education meeting, it turned out that if we could get people to put questions ahead of time, it made it a little bit smoother.
Well, thanks for the question. I do represent school districts as well, so I'm familiar with both formats, and they are different because the rules dealing with council meetings and especially school board meetings are limited. participation can permit questions being submitted in advance, for example. There are different methods that are suggested by DCA and also DOE. However, dealing with the MLUL, I have discussed with Mr. Kirk here, and the notices that are being sent out by our applicants for virtual hearings require certain things, and I will take the opportunity to go over them. So the applicant must indicate where any member of the public can sign in. It requires all documents, whether or not they are from applicants or members of the public, to be submitted, we suggested 2 days in advance of the hearing. Our staff will have the ability to reflect any documents by public members, especially, on screen at the appropriate time. And unlike Board of Ed meeting, any member of the public will have access, just like we will, to be seen and to listen to everything. The standard procedure would be that everybody will be muted unless they're talking or being asked to talk. So at the appropriate times, just like in a regular meeting, members of the public can ask questions, make statements, present witnesses, and the like. Virtual meetings are certainly not mandated under the MLUL, and we do have a number of applicants who have desired and agreed to sign consents to extend the hearings until whatever time it may take to have actual meetings. And it's up to the administration to coordinate with the applicants so that we don't have too much of a backlog. We proceed, especially with applications that aren't going to have a lot of community input. And if we do have a lot of input, there may be a question about whether or not a virtual meeting will be the most proper procedure based on due process. Any other questions?
Just real quickly, I just wanted to say that we had a town council meeting last week, and we had 90 people come on to the meeting. The key to the success of the last meeting was that someone had to be the moderator. Just like Jeff said, all questions have to go through the moderator, because our first meeting was like anarchy, which was a disaster. So we learned, so the township clerk took over the mediator job, and I'm telling you, it was so much more smooth. So that was my tip for tonight.
Yeah, we had the same thing at the school board where we were starting to let everybody just kind of talk, and it was a disaster. You have to go through one person. Yeah.
Well, in this case, our chair would recognize particular members of the public at the appropriate time, but there definitely has to be queuing in of public input and muting, except for the appropriate time, so you don't have the chaos that you see at council meetings or in Board of Ed meetings.
Hey, Sandy, I'm on the TTFA, the Transportation Trust Fund Authority, and we're having a meeting on Thursday. What allows them the opportunity to conduct business virtually through GoToMeeting as well? Like, is it the MULU that doesn't specifically spell this out, and that's what's causing problems here? I'm just curious.
Well, when the governor sent out an executive order permitting virtual meetings, it was very generic across the board for all governmental entities.
Okay.
So it was really keying in on public entities like school districts and municipalities. DCA has a responsibility administratively to provide guidance, and they have submitted, in fact, somewhat comprehensive reports. And they give the guidelines and options on how to satisfy due process. When it comes to school districts, the governor has particularly indicated that the Department of Education would be the governmental entity to look to. So there's a separate set of protocol for school districts, although they're generally similar in terms of providing due process. There is nothing particular under the governor's executive order or through DCA that particularly talks about what are basically judicial hearings before planning boards and boards of adjustment. Likewise, and similarly, there was nothing under the executive order dealing with, let's say, court proceedings or administrative law proceedings. And so on the judicial side, there are some pilot projects that are going on with administrative law judges to test the waters.
Okay.
I actually have been part of some seminars with other attorneys specializing in, planning and zoning, and there are a lot of questions involved. So the basic premise is that you start with the DCA guidelines, and then you have to adapt to the MLUL on your own. So we're guided by general due process provisions without having specific guidance.
Okay. I'm just curious. Thank you. That was helpful.
Sure.
Just another thing I want to bring up, because is everybody familiar with this setup here? Has everybody done go-to-meetings in the past? If you haven't, just say I haven't.
I have not.
I haven't.
Okay.
I've been using Zoom instead of this, so I'm trying to get myself on here.
Okay. Well, the thing is when we're going to be seeing cases, we're going to hand over the screen to somebody, it might be who's ever in front of us, whatever case we're seeing. That's gonna populate the majority of the screen people. So you're not gonna be seeing everybody's faces on here, and then people will pop up as they talk. There's options within that. If you see on the top, view everyone. You'll just get the hang of it. It's pretty. It'll flow a little better. I'm sure Ron can talk to it because I'm sure he's been on these. But it's you're going to be seeing data. You're going to be actually like we're looking at the board or whatever they're introducing through the lawyers, and you'll be able to see things a lot easier that way. You're not going to see all these people like the Brady Bunch here. Just saying, just so you get a little more familiar with it.
Right.
All right, I gotta mess with it.
What's that?
I have to mess with it to figure this out.
Yeah. Another thing too that I recommend people do: don't use your computer speaker. Call in, and you get a lot clearer signal through that. There's not like when you heard everybody doing the Pledge of Allegiance. There's that time delay. So it's just an FYI. It's a lot easier to use the call-in number, people, because it's a lot easier to talk through. Sometimes you get a lot of feedback through your laptops. I'm on these things every day, be it GoToMeeting, Zoom, and there's some even Google now, which was a nightmare that I was on the other day last week.
Mm-hmm.
Just a FYI for you.
Thanks, Pete.
I thought I was logged in and all set, but I wasn't apparently.
Okay. Can Ron turn his speaker on, or is he gone?
He's here. I just
Do we have
listening
to
to you
have
guys.
cameras on?
Excuse me?
Do we have to have our cameras on?
I
No.
don't.
No,
There's no rule that says you have to, no.
that's correct.
That makes things a lot easier too.
Still looks
Thank
better
you.
already.
That was very helpful. That mustache really got big, didn't it?
Hey, David, you had a council meeting. Did it populate with all the residents too, with their cameras?
Yeah, so it populated with everybody, but most of the people who were just the residents did not have their cameras on. Some did. So you saw some of the faces, some of you didn't, but they had to announce themselves. They had to give their address. You just can't get on there and start.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tough at first, but it's the safest way to go, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had to say.
Okay.
But are we done?
All right, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Dave,
Roll
who
call.
said that?
Who made the motion?
I did,
Raise your
John
hand if you're
Duffy,
making-
sorry.
By the way.
I seconded. Roll call.
Okay. Dr. Benedetto,
Yes.
Mr. DeFilia,
Yes.
Mr. Duffy,
Yes.
Dr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Close,
Yes.
Mr. Levy,
Yes.
Mr. Siano,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
Chairman Verley.
Yes.